How is it that we can desire sex so strongly before we get married, and then we get married, and then the sex slows down, or the sex comes to non-existent? And what is strange to me is that, and let's just talk, let's just talk. This is a conversation. This is not a sermon. This is not necessarily a lesson, a Bible lesson. This is just a life conversation, all right? It's strange to me because as I become an outlet for married couples, I am discovering that more and more couples are not having sex. And these are not always older couples. These are quite often young couples. I mean, like 20s and 30s and 40s, and are not having sex. And is my signal bad? Because I don't see any. Okay, there's somebody. Y'all put something on there so I see hearts going up, so I don't know. I'm trying to make certain that my signal is not bad. There's some things that I kind of jotted down. Why are there sexless marriages? And some of you may be in a sexless marriage. And let me just be real. Number one, first thing I wrote down: one or both parties have allowed their physical appearance to go lacking, or has some hygiene issue. When a person does this, when a person allows, listen to me very well, when a person allows his or her physical appearance to go lacking unnecessarily, not due to sickness, not due to age, but just negligent about taking care of yourself, it is viewed by the other partner as a sign of disrespect, and it kills all stimulation. See, if and this goes both ways. A lot of times we as men, we want our wives to stay the same as they were when they were 25 years old. And now she's 60. And you want her to be the same. But then you ain't the same. You've allowed yourself to fall apart. Your belly prevents you from tying your shoes. You need help tying your shoes. And your wife got to live with looking at you. She has to live with trying to be intimate with you and all that you bring to the table now. And we don't realize it, but we allow ourselves to go. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't make ourselves presentable for one another. Now, you did all of that to get them. You put yourself together to go to these people's job or to go before these people. And then you come home and you just let yourself fall apart. And then you're wondering why people aren't attracted to you. You're wondering why, I don't care that I've married you. We still need the physical, visible stimulation of having a partner that we're attracted to. And I say all of the time, there's no greater day than wedding day to witness false advertisement, because in most cases, that is the best you're going to see that woman or that man look for the rest of your life. In most cases, the best you will see your spouse look is on wedding day. That may be the last time your man combs his hair. That may be the last time you see your woman halfway put together. On wedding day, she's going to get a girdle to pull all that stuff together. After wedding day, she's just letting it all fly. And she's going to add more onto that. Am I right? Am I telling the truth or not? And then we sit in these houses with one another, looking at one another, don't want to say anything because I got to live with you now. So if I say the wrong thing, I got to live with this climate that it may create, or probably definitely will create. And so I sit there and I just get frustrated, and I just get infuriated even, and I become resentful of you because I feel like you lured me into something that I really didn't want, especially if one part of the marriage is taking care of him or herself properly, and then the other part of the marriage, you just letting yourself go. You just eating this stuff, all this ice cream and eating all these potato chips and everything, and you just spreading out across the bed, and you just letting yourself go, and then you won't want somebody to be attracted to you. Well, attraction is what it is. If it ain't, it ain't. Just because I'm married to you don't mean I'm attracted to you. Especially if you're doing nothing to maintain the standard that you sold me on. Now, granted, every 10 years you're going to look different because you're getting older. But you ought to still be putting yourself together. In fact, about it, the older you get, the more you ought to be putting yourself together. If you put yourself together when you was in your 20s, in your 20s, you can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and look good. Well, when you 40 now, you ought to be putting even more effort into your appearance. Why? Because you represent your spouse, and you have to make certain that you hold your house down and that you are everything your spouse can imagine or desire. Is this true? I said, is this true? And then, you sit there and there's no attraction. There's no attraction. And see, if your man is not attracted to you, I don't care how young he is. I don't care how virile and vibrant he is. If he's not attracted to you, he's probably not going to be able to function. And any wise man, if you have any wisdom at all, lived and have any experience at all, any wise man knows that even though a woman can function, you know if that woman is really attracted to you or not, if you really know what you're doing. And quite often, your woman is just going through the motion. She's not really attracted to you no more because you've let yourself go. And we always look at that from the perspective of the man to the woman, but the woman looking at you too. She looking at how you're not taking care of yourself. All right, number 2. Why are there sexless marriages? One or both have allowed their physical appearance to go lacking. And I was going to read something. Where is this at? Okay, Hebrews 13:4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. Okay, that's what I wanted to read. I meant to read that to start off. So, marriage is the context in which we can have all of the sex you want, all of the freaky sex you want within the confines of the marital bed, and yet people are not having sex that are married for some practical reasons. One or both have allowed their physical appearance to go lacking. I'm not talking about you're sick. I'm not talking about you're sick. I'm not talking about just the realities of aging. I'm talking about you not combing your hair, you not washing your hair. I'm talking about you just eating and you just spreading out across the house unnecessarily. I'm talking about you just do not take care of yourself and you want somebody to be attracted to you just because they signed on a line. Let me tell you something. A person can love you and not be attracted to you. And that's a real difficult position to be in, where you love a person and you're not attracted to them. Where you have people, I'm telling you, I've had situations where a spouse loved their spouse, didn't want anybody else, but was totally unattracted to their spouse sexually and was not cheating on them, was not looking for anybody to cheat with, but they were not attracted to their spouse. So they resigned to living a sexless life. I'm telling you, when you go to talking about being equally yoked, those of you all that are single, there's more to this thing than just looking somebody in the eye and having butterflies and I love you, you love the Lord, I love the Lord, and let's get married today. Baby, you need to figure out, y'all got to have these conversations. How do you plan on taking care of yourself? in the next 20 years, 30 years? What's going to be your routine? How do you plan to preserve yourself? Because I'm going to have to look at you the rest of my life. Do you plan on just allowing yourself to gain 100 pounds in the next 20 years? What's going to be my reality with you in 20 years? These things are important. These things are important. Number 2, there's an emotional trauma from the past. And usually it's a sexual trauma that prevents affection in the relationship presently. In this case, the uninformed partner is now being victimized for another person's deeds. In other words, you've dated, you guys have dated, and you've come to terms on you love one another, whatever. And maybe you even went through the process of premarital sex. Maybe you did that. And now you're married. And now all of a sudden your partner, your mate, your married, your spouse is not interested in sex at all. And so now you're trying to figure out, there's Trinice, I haven't seen her in 1,002 years. And so now you're trying to figure out, why is my spouse totally uninterested in sex? And there are some things you just have not learned about your spouse. And the reality is that they have been traumatized sexually, and though they love you, and though they are totally committed to the marriage, it's hard for them to connect sexually on a regular basis. And these are the conversations that you should have long before you get married. People that have been victimized sexually usually do not have a real high sex drive, even with people that they love. And so you have to understand this before you get married so that you can exercise the what? Patience and wisdom in the marriage and not have unrealistic expectations. If a person has been abused sexually or a person has been raped and they are overcoming, because I believe when a person has had that experience in life, they're constantly overcoming. Overcoming is a process, it's not an event. They're constantly overcoming. And so when you marry into that, you have to understand that. But the person who's gone through that has to be wise enough also to inform you of these things before marriage. Because when you get into marriage and you think you have a normal woman or a normal man, and then you discover that things are everything but normal sexually. This person could do or do without sex for every 2 or 3 months, and you trying to figure out, because you're trying to do this every 3 days or every 2 days, and you don't realize that they have been traumatized sexually. And many times, you're angry and you're mad and all of this, and you're threatening to leave and you're threatening to cheat and go out. You ain't meeting my needs, and I need this and I need that. And the reality is you need to be looking deeper, because sometimes your spouse is lying next to you bleeding, emotionally bleeding, and you don't even have enough discernment to pay attention to the fact that, and usually this is the man, that this woman is actually bleeding emotionally, and that there's some things that have not been revealed. And so maybe that also needs me to say to those of you single, well, not only men, single people in general, that you need to have these intimate conversations about a person's past. And you will know when you are creeping up on a sensitive area that may need to be explored gently. Because the last thing you want to do is to marry a person and then discover that they have all of this emotional baggage from a broken past. It's better for you to make a choice to marry a broken person with everything on the table than to get into a marriage and then discover that you will never, probably never live a normal life like two normal people who've not had such trauma would experience. But if you know that, then you can adjust yourself to that, and you can make the determination to whether or not you want to invest yourself in this or not. But a lot of times marriages are sexless because there's emotional trauma from the past that has not been processed. It's not been processed. Are you in a relationship? Am I in a relationship? Absolutely. I'm married. Been married for 22 years. Yes. Number 3. Okay, here's number 3. Now here's a good one. Now let me y'all listen to me on this one, because this is going to help a lot of you. Number 3. In some cases, marriages are sexless because there is an undisclosed medical condition that prevents one party from demonstrating sexual attraction. And this lack of disclosure is usually due to pride and or shame. And this is usually, most of the time, it's usually in the case of the man. Usually it's middle-aged men who are finding some level of impotence, one degree or another, and are ashamed to say, this is what I'm struggling with. So much so, we can be so ashamed of that as men, like some of you ladies on here who have middle-aged men, and you're trying to figure out why are they not functioning as much as they used to function. It's probably because he physically cannot do it as much as he used to do it. And he's ashamed to just tell you because, you know, we're ignorantly conditioned to believe as men that our manhood is completely tied to our sexuality. Completely. I thank God for being delivered from that. I thank God for being delivered from that. Me being a man is more than my sexuality. And so me and my wife can have any kind of conversation. And, you know, I don't feel any less of a man because I can't do what I used to do 20 years ago. And ain't no need her coming here trying to put that pressure on me. It ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I promise you it ain't going to happen. Ain't no need her coming here trying to put that pressure on me. But most men are not comfortable saying, babe, I'm just not what I used to be. And then some men are completely impotent and are so prideful they don't even want to tell the doctor, Doc, I can't function sexually, or I'm losing sexual function. And the doctor can give them some stuff to help this situation out where you can at least function enough to satisfy your woman. But instead, you just got your woman drifting, believing that she's no longer attractive. And so now because you're not reaching for her, now she feels unattractive. So now she begins to think differently. So now everything begins to snowball. Whereas if you could, as a man, just simply say, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm dealing with, now your woman can get in the fight with you and not make assumptions about why you're not drawn to her sexually. And I have to also add that this is not always just the man. I'm talking about the man because I believe that men deal with medical issues that prevent sexual attraction more so than women. But sometimes women have physical issues that prevent them from even engaging sex. So they avoid even the temptation of it. Sometimes marital sex is painful for a woman for many various physical reasons, things that could be going on in her body. And then sometimes she feels that I can't tell my man that I'm going through this because sometimes your womanhood, you feel like your womanhood is tied to your capacity to reproduce and to please your man sexually. And the reality is that if he's your husband, you should be able to tell him every and anything, and he's supposed to what? The Bible says, bear the infirmity of the weak. Of course, that's in a spiritual context, but it has to apply to marriage. When your wife is going through, when your spouse is going through, you're supposed to be the one that's there to help bear them up. But if you don't know that there's an infirmity, if you don't know that there is a sickness, and you just left to feel that, well, he's left to feel that, well, she's avoided me for 6 weeks now because she's just not attracted to me. See, the way a man mind goes is she must have another man. So now he gets angry. And then the way a man mind works is he has all of these assumptions, he has all of these imaginations. So then he says in his mind, without ever having a conversation with you, I'm gonna get back at her. I'm gonna do the same thing. Now, he hadn't confirmed anything. But this is the way it works, you know. Number 4. Okay, now here's a big one. Yeesh. Here's a big one right here. Why a marriage is sexless. After some time of marriage, a marriage may become sexless when it is discovered that one's spouse cannot stimulate them mentally or intellectually. There's no feeling like sleeping with someone that can't hold an interesting conversation. See, you rush into marriage because you have this ideal about marriage. You want the wedding. You're attracted physically. You look good on paper spiritually, financially, and all of that. But then after you get married, and now you understand that when you're married, you're not going to be having sex all day long like you thought you would. And that your marriage is about more than going to church. And now you got to come home and sleep next to this person every night. And this person has no conversation. You never paid attention to this person's intellectual level or levels prior to, because you were enamored with the whole ideal of the idea. But now that you got this person and they got you legally, now you're listening to them and you realize it ain't nothing but birds chirping. There's nothing there. Nothing upstairs. Nothing upstairs. And so now you're not stimulated intellectually, and you made a horrible mistake, because making love is not physical, my brothers and sisters. The physical part is the way we express it, but making love is mental. It's between the ears, not between the sheets. And if somebody cannot stimulate you between your ears, it's not, the little stuff y'all got going on between the sheets ain't gonna really last, you see. And so now you frustrated. You're married to a person that you're frustrated with. And somebody say, well, what's the answer? Well, you did it now. All I can tell you is go get you some counseling. I can't tell you no more than that. I would say to you single people, look deep before you leap. Don't run out here marrying people before you really fully, completely understand that these persons or this person can really hold my interest for the rest of my life, physically, spiritually, intellectually, and so forth and so on. Because there's nothing worse than waking up next to a person that you feel no intellectual connection to. None. Is this making sense to y'all? And it's hard to make love to somebody that you don't respect, that you view as dumb. It's hard to make love to somebody that you view as dumb. There's no way in the world I just couldn't do it. I could not come home to a woman that I viewed as dumb. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. A woman that if I sat down and said, this is my plan, this is what I want to do, she has nothing to add, I don't want to make love to you. No. That's like making love to a box of rocks. What's the help of someone who's in a situation? Counseling. You're going to have some counseling, and I know a lot of y'all have made choices, and it's, I don't really have no answers for that. I really don't have any answers for that. I think you have to at some point be honest with your spouse about where you're at. People can grow. Do they grow? I'm not so certain, but they can. How much they can grow, I don't know. But I will say to singles, Those of y'all that's contemplate marrying people, you better think about all of these things I'm saying to you, lest you sit around here next 5 years, be sitting in the middle of a sexless marriage yourself. It's always, I don't know. Oh, Lord Jesus, my God. Oh, my God. I don't know, or, you know, here you go. You ask somebody, you ask your spouse, or your spouse, because we're talking about sex now, so it should be your spouse, not just a significant other. You ask your spouse a question about your vision and your plans, and you want their specific input about how they think you should go about it. And all they do is look at you and say, "That's nice." That's nice. Oh my God. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you. Oh my God. There's no greater turnoff than a dumb person that you're married to. Don't marry dumb people. I'm telling. Okay, let me leave this alone. I'm talking too much. Number 5. The vows of fidelity have been broken. Why marriage is sexless? The vows of fidelity have been broken so much that there's no longer a trust to be intimate. By this I mean you have sexless marriages because you have one person that has cheated so much that the other party does not trust them any longer to be intimate. So there's no intimacy because the trust has been broken, you know. And this is not always just the man. Sometimes it's the woman that has broken that trust. Sometimes it's the woman that has done the cheating, and the man is fighting, trying to keep the marriage, but he still has no desire, no pull towards his wife because she has broken that trust. But it happens more times than not with the man, where the brother's cheating and the woman's trying to keep the family together, trying to keep the children with the father and a semblance of a normal home, but she has no desire for him because he has broken the covenant of that marital bed. He has broken that covenant that he recited at the altar, to keep thee only unto her, so long as they both shall live. He's broken that. And when you break covenant, you break trust. And where there is no trust, there is no intimacy. What about emotional cheating, Pastor? That can do it to you too. You know, absolutely, that can do it to you as well. You know, people try to make light of that. People try to make light of that, you know, having all of these online affairs where you're talking all this stuff and you're writing all this stuff and you're sending all these pictures to people and all of that kind of thing, but you never, and you back on, I never touched them. Well, you know, I just got through telling y'all, you make love between your ears long before you get between the sheets. And the Bible itself even says, if a man looks upon a woman so as to lust after her, it is as if he's already done it. So emotional cheating, online, telephone, all of that stuff, when your spouse discovers that you've engaged in that, it will break the trust. And when the trust is broken, the intimacy drains. And before long, if you don't repair that breach, your wife, your husband, your spouse will have no desire, no sexual desire for you, though they may have a desire to maintain the covenant of the marriage. They won't have you. Go back to earlier statement. You can love somebody with all your heart and have no desire for them. No sexual desire for them. Oh, Lord. Okay, number 6. Okay. Okay, and this is my final one. I got to get out of this because I think I'm getting in trouble. Number 6. Why are marriages sexless? Often it's due to confused chemistry. We have sexless marriages because of confused chemistry. The wife is too aggressive while the man is too passive. The woman is naturally attracted to testosterone, while the man is drawn to estrogen. A man behaving passively cannot make decisions, won't voice a strong opinion, or a woman behaving like a dude aggressively, won't submit, walks ahead of the man, finishes his sentences, rarely wears feminine attire to bed, etc., throws all signals off. See, though we have now listen to this. This is how we have created our own confusion. Society has eliminated the man, especially in the black community, eliminated the man from the equation through what? Incarceration, criminal, murder rates through the roof in black communities. So the woman has men that have just been inept and irresponsible, making babies they would not stay to take care of. So this has left the woman, the black woman, in a situation where she's had to be everything. Mom, dad, earner, everything. She's had to be everything. And so now she's accustomed to, driving, having her hands on the wheel. And so now she gets into a relationship. She doesn't know how to relinquish the wheel, even to a man that is fully equipped to drive. She doesn't know how to follow a leader because she's been the only leader she's known. And so we say of that black woman, she's an angry black woman. No, she's a woman that has had no choice but to make it happen for herself. And so now when she gets a man, she's been trained to create testosterone where it was even uncomfortable for her, but she had no choice. And so when she get a man, she don't know how to let loose. So now the man is like looking at her like, you behaving like a dude. Let me handle this. And so now the attraction wanes. And then what happens is, watch this, because the dudes, the boys we raise have been mama to death. Now the boys are just passive and don't want to take responsibility and sensitive and all this kind of stuff. So this kind of man here, he will, watch this, he will let her play mama. He'll let her do what she want to do, run the show like she's been conditioned to want to do. And she'll marry a little dude like that, little weak dude like that, because he's going to let her do what she want to do. But then she soon discover that she ain't attracted to him. She got him because he's safe enough that she can let him into her life and still run the show. But now she got him and she really don't want him. Because she's designed to need a man that is fully and completely empowered with testosterone. A man that will be the man. But she doesn't know how to embrace that kind of man because she ain't never seen him before. And the only thing she's ever known was, I got to put my hands on this and make this happen. She's not accustomed to a man saying, chill out, let me handle this. So since she's not used to a man saying, chill out, let me handle it, she'll settle for a man that'll say, you do it. And then she looks at him 4 weeks after wedding day, and she's like, really? And she married to him, but she looking at homie down the street who walking and talking like a real man, because she's naturally built to desire. The chemistry is built that she desires a man that is completely empowered by testosterone. He got to be a man's man. He can't be and when I say a man's man, I'm not talking about muscles and beards. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a man that takes responsibility, has a word, holds it down, got a plan, got a vision. That's what I'm talking about. So a lot of times is that the chemistry is thrown off because the man is naturally drawn to estrogen. The woman is naturally drawn to testosterone. When the man has more estrogen and the woman has more testosterone, the wires are crossed. And they don't even understand why. And so they end up what? Just being roommates. Married, no sex. They only had sex to make babies. Once they had those babies, that was the end of it. So, hey, that's just something I was thinking about, man.